Editors Claire Simpson and Sam Restivo had already worked together on several Ridley Scott movies, including House of Gucci and Napoleon, before embarking on his massive motion picture Gladiator II. Restivo has previously worked with directors like Mann and Crowe, and Claire Simpson received an Academy Award for her work on Oliver Stone's Platoon. And in a nice bit of symmetry with Gladiator II, actually started her career as an assistant editor on Caligula with Malcolm McDowell. For AwardsWatch, we talked about the massive scale and sheer volume of footage that Ridley provides them with every day, their research process, the kiss Denzel Washington says was edited out, and much more.
Hello. Hi, nice to see you.
Thank you for an incredible film. I was just blown away. You both have worked with Ridley Scott together on several films, including Napoleon. Gladiator II is just another film on a massive scale. I just want to go way, way back. I was looking through reading about you, Claire, and it says that one of your absolute first credits was on Caligula, which I thought was a nice bit of framing. And if there's anything you got from that first project with Malcolm McDowell to today.
That's a call out.
Yeah. Well, actually, they've just recently reissued it. And it's the director's cut. So it's a longer version. I think Malcolm McDowell was involved in the re-edit of it. And I was just a youngster. I just got off the boat from Dublin, which is where I was living. I grew up. And I came to London, and it was very much like, coming to the big city and being very naive and everything. And when somebody said to me, they want a runner, apprentice on Caligula, I was so stupid that I thought they were referring to the Camus novel. So I thought, oh my goodness, that would be fantastic, working on a Camus Caligula. And so I was absolutely horrified when I actually went to the theatre where they were screening the film, and Bob Guccione came in with his entourage, and I was just completely horrified because one thing they did, they had shot some additional scenes that the other actors didn't know about, and they were sort of like semi-porn scenes. And so every time Bob Guccione came to screen the film, the editor had to quickly splice these scenes in. And then if Malcolm McDowell or Helen Mirren came to see the film, quickly take them out again. So, and it was my job actually to splice them in and splice them out, depending on who was coming to see the film. But there were some marvelous performances in it, despite all the kind of crudeness.
I love it. Well, I'll get to Gladiator now, but it was a fun little framing of your... I understand that on production, there's an enormous amount of footage every day that Ridley can use up to 12 cameras at the same time. Sam, can you give us an idea of what it looks like for you on a day of production on Gladiator?
Yeah, so it's an amazing thing, and we're Claire and I are very lucky. We have fabulous assistant editors, and so that's the biggest initial challenge, is for them to actually get the footage to a place that it's a usable thing for us, because it's all these cameras and all this stuff, and you got to sync the sound, and a lot of times they're doing different speeds on the cameras, so that Claire and I, by the time the assistants have the dailies done, we can sit and watch the footage together. But because it's so much stuff, the way that we watch it is in our Avid editing system, you can look up to like 9 cameras at once. You could watch at the same time. And so we would sit there and watch, and you catch little bit of things that like, oh, that looks great. Oh, that looks just like the storyboard or what have you. And by the time that we get through on the day looking at that stuff, we just kind of decide, okay, I'm going to take that scene, you take that scene, and then just kind of get moving with it. And honestly, with a movie like this that has all these giant battle scenes, having all these cameras to cut to is an embarrassment of riches, because any shot that you're looking for, he usually just has it. It's like, oh, it'd be awesome if we got a super wide shot of the arena looking down and you can see the rhino coming, right to left. Well, they've got it. So it's an enjoyable experience to get to do something like that.
One of the other greats, Thelma Schoonmaker, she said, to receive footage that has been shot with editing in mind is a blessing. I'm wondering if Ridley has that. Does he have editing in mind when he provides you with the script, with storyboards?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ridley is a completely visual artist and filmmaker. And he writes with images. He is himself an artist. So the visuals are really, really important for him. And it's how he's able to tell the story so well. Because he uses multi-cameras, it does give you some ability to quickly put material together, but that's not really the whole story, because actually what editing is shaping narrative, and it's shaping performances and character. And that's the true nature of editing. But in terms of being able to visually put things together, yes, absolutely. Ridley is a master at that.
What about the research process? I know that I was reading that for Napoleon, you looked a lot into music and music for the period. What about here?
Well, we had the composer, Harry Gregson Williams, started work the minute we started shooting. And we would send him rough cuts so he could actually get some inspiration. So he was, it's a very rare thing that you have a composer on so early in the production. And I must admit, it was really a blessing, because there is an awful lot of music in there. And also it was very challenging for him, because Hans Zimmer had written such a brilliant score for the first one. So I think that too is very daunting, to kind of be able to compose something that referenced that, but also was something unique to itself. So it was a big challenge for Harry. And so we didn't have to do too much research, music research for Gladiator.
What about in terms of historic research?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We always read up. I live near Rome, so I know a lot of the sites and the places that. It's the Roman world is fascinating, and it's remarkably sophisticated in terms of its architecture and its political philosophy. So it is a very rich culture.
Yeah, and that obviously, with the arena, we knew they used to do all these kind of battles. They would fill them with water and have these like sea battles and stuff, and then they would have animals fighting gladiators. And then a bit of research that came later on to the thing is the notion of the literal twin emperors of Romulus and Remus. The story of them and the story of Rome was a big narrative thing that really wanted to hit. And so there was plenty of strong research into everything that went into the movie.
Sam, I want to ask you about Denzel and working with him in the editing room. I mean, did he give you many variations? I mean, it's such an incredible performance. It's just he's chewing the scenery and having such a great time. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. So obviously somebody like Denzel Washington is one of the best actors we have ever had. And he is such a pro, and he does give you variations. Every single take is something new. Like the best actors in the world know the thing that they're doing, but they know it so well that they can live in a reality in each take that's maybe just a little bit different. And that can even be down to the blocking. Oh, maybe I'm going to play it from this side of the room in this particular one. And with Denzel, he was always just in the moment with whoever else he was in the scene with. And it's alive on screen because like he's a brilliant actor, and also he's just a true blue movie star. Like you're engaged. Every time he's on screen, you have no idea what he's about to do. And it's always endlessly compelling and watchable.
I have to ask you because he just like yesterday said that there was a kiss scene between him that they've been taken out of the film, edited out. Will we ever be able to see that?
Yeah,
Well, we actually are bemused by that comment because we don't recall it. But
you would recall that, wouldn't you?
I think
we would have remembered.
If it happened, we would certainly have remembered. Now, there is a scene where he does kiss Thrax several times, but I don't recall them actually being mouth to mouth.
Well, maybe in the director's cut we will see, but I supposedly there won't be a director's cut.
Well, this is the
director's
cut.
Or a longer cut, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ridley always says that the final cut is his director's cut. So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have the very long version.
Yeah.
Well, talking about him, he's 87 in a few weeks, and he's just not slowing down. How does he do it? And do you guys have a new project with him coming up?
We do have a new project coming up. He is determined to keep working. I think it's what really just keeps him going. I mean, he loves to work. And he loves every aspect of the filmmaking process. I mean, he loves being on set, and he loves equally being in the cutting room. He's just very engaged in the whole process, and it's it's like his lifeblood.
There's been some really unprecedented challenges working with him. I'm thinking, for example, Claire, when you had to recut and replace Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer and All the Money in the World, that must be a huge project. Sam, do you have any examples of something that you've been through with Ridley that was just an incredible challenge that you will remember forever?
Well, all of these movies are an incredible challenge. When we did Napoleon last, that was a movie that, it was there were 238 scenes in a 130-page screenplay, which is just bananas. And so so our first cut of that film was approaching 5 hours. Now we were never going to do that long version, or, we would never have a movie be that long. And so it was just, the challenge of trying to get it into size that's like that's a user-friendly amount of movie was an enormous challenge. Whereas a movie just as big as Gladiator, the challenge is always just, modulating just the right amount of of action and emotion and tension and all of that. And he's such a master filmmaker. I mean, he's probably the most experienced filmmaker we have going, if not one of the top 5 most experienced filmmakers in the world. And he knows exactly what pieces he needs to get. So it's always for us, just a masterclass in watching him work. So, I mean, everything's a challenge, but it's always like, it's gravy for me. Like I'm eating it all up because it's fabulous.
And Claire, for you, the challenge?
Oh, I think Napoleon was the biggest challenge than anything else I've done with Ridley. There were all kinds of forces at play in that. In fact, there were perhaps too many voices, chipping in, and I think it was a massive thing for Ridley to wrestle with, and it was really very complicated piece of work, and I think and it was also very stressful. So that I think was the most difficult one. But normally we have an absolute riotous fun when we're working, because contrary to popular belief, Ridley is actually a very funny guy, and he's got lots of stories, and he's very indiscreet, and so we have a riotous time in the cutting room, and he keeps telling us he's writing his memoir. And if he doesn't write it, I will, because it's just outrageous, the stories he comes out with.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we someday get the footage from the editing room when you guys are with it. That would be amazing. That was my time. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. Have a good day.